Been ranting about this for hours. Most of it not on video. Most of it undocumented from a video perspective. I just wanted to eat something. They want me to talk about the Starship Enterprise. Do they even go to like Tokyo and Tulsa and Japanime type stuff? They go and they meet people who have played these characters. Beautiful scenery, cinematic simulation type experiences, and we've been brought up to believe in them and see them for the beauty that they are. And they are. There's even more though. We're a ship. Whatever energetically was put out there comes back. The beauty in the hues is that we know we're not just batteries. We're beautiful creator ships, creatress ships. The Orpheum. Like the shape of water. Flaxseed and almond meal. A little brown sugar. If you're looking for something sweet. Now, I let mine steam for a little while. I'll talk about it later. But it comes out kind of like peanut butter, but kind of chunky. I'm just trying to separate the oil. I don't really want brown sugar in my hair per se. But it's really good. Probably the texture of grits. Cold, not warm. You might be able to warm it up or eat it after it's been steamed. Like right after, so it's still really hot. But literally it's almond meal, flax, and avocado. And a little bit of filtered water. Not even high pH, maybe like 6.2 to 5. So 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5. But like it came out perfect in texture like grits. And it's the flax once it's been steamed. And the almond meal has kind of started to gel a little bit. I had to steam it a really long time. But I didn't want to lose the nutrition. I just wanted the mucosinoids from the outside of the flax shell to dissolve without cooking the raw fruit in the middle. And from there, it can be chewed. Because I can chew through what's left of the shell, which will be paper thin by that point because you've gotten off all of the outside. The hard mucousy part needs to be softened, kind of like softening agar-agar or gelatin. You have to soak it for hours in order for it to fluff. Same thing, but this is flaxseed, which has a harder outer shell. So it has to be soaked for a lot longer, but you run the temptation of it being too hot for the podlings and the seedlings that are inside, which is what you're trying to eat, but in their rawest nature. So you don't want to overprocess them. You don't want to cook them. Just like chia seeds or hemp seeds, you don't want to cook them. You want to kind of like blanch, barely. If you have an egg cooker, the one that goes on the counter that you plug in, that little itty bitty thingy, get one of them. They're like 20 bucks. You can find them for less, but it's the size you're wanting. Brentwood egg cooker. Like $20. You can probably find it for something less. And it's got like little trays, and it's got like 3 different trays. The egg holder for boiled eggs, easy, medium, hard boiled. The omelet tray and steamer tray. And the poaching tray. All of these work. My favorite, oh, I love this one. I adore it. But it's this one. Your nut meals and your whatnot that you don't need is higher than a certain temperature, but you don't want to put, what you going to put in a pot? Can't put it in a crock pot. You will cook right through the nutrition you're talking about keeping. Somebody who's on a nut meal diet, or at least a nut meal triad, or maybe looking for nutritional proteins while on smaller portions of food more often. Do more snackings on healthier foods, and you will find yourself very happy. Healthy, gorgeous, delicious food. You will enjoy your food more too. You'll actually eat less of it. For a lot of body types, you'll just naturally go into what your body needs in order to do what it's supposed to. Naturally. And it's like, you can still have dairy. Me anyway. My body likes dairy. Likes vegan meals. I don't eat an enormous amount of meat, period. Just because I'm animal friendly. And I really prefer not to. Doesn't mean that I don't, I just prefer not to. I don't like eating my furry friends. My non-furry friend. I don't like spiders. They know not to come in here, but they do. They're not like banned for life or something. Although they know not to come in here, though. Even they know it's a direct violation of my boundaries, dude. I'll find you a safe space outside. Those guys have messages to deliver, like, we know that you have food in here. We've come to help relieve you of it. It's funny. The most beautiful webs and spaces. You're like, dude, I'm like, yeah. I said, I can help you. You got a bug problem? I got you. No, it's the food problem. It's the one that makes the most sense to me. I'm like, they don't call them bugs, so when they could write a whole novel, somebody look at it and go, it's just a spider web. Yet they take it down every night and do it again the next day. We're just ignoring so many. Some will call me crazy. It's not going to make much difference, though. I spend so much time spending money on stealing my energy so they can call me crazy. And also remember that the other energy is around. What other energy? The energetic sequence of remembering that we're all sovereign. We're smarter together, not separate. We're brighter together, not separate. And we're royalty. We need to remember that. Also, that we're the hues. And we just healed from a very traumatic experience, and we should hug ourselves. We're every earthling in the Aquarian acknowledgement. Everybody has what they call Aquarius in their chart. Every sign, but for different reasons. Some people might say, I don't have Aquarians in my chart. They were. But they'll go through what is called the Aquarian season. According to who? Vedic? Who designed such a calendar? Who designed timestamps? This guy named Origin. Literally, his name was Origin. And he said, I'm going to design something really important. We're going to call it the Gregorian calendar. Yeah, that took off, by the way. It just went. I mean, it was at the culmination of it standing at the top and going, aha! There were these others that started telling the truth, and even though they seemed smaller to the naked eye, I'm sure they did. Shorter, like they didn't have as much experience as the elder. They made more sense because it was more transparent and more clear about why it was even made to begin with. And some people said it came after the Great. Well, that's the thing about the second Eron. Humans' faces did not transform much from their original stasis. The second Eron. They call this, quote-unquote, in some books, the Age of Aquarius. Who wrote them? Where did they come from and why? I listen to me, so I'm the only one that normally watches my videos. You're a goob, though. Most of this video diary is gonna be me listening to this video. He's taking a nap. I appreciate you. You're just a goob, honey. You and your spoon. Yeah. You have to write down most of my recipes. Right. You're funny. Look at the spoon and pretend that you're not holding it. Who pretends they're not holding their spoon? Such a silly quote. There is no spoon. I'm not holding a fork. They invented those too. The Starship Enterprise. No. What ship are you on? You don't like Star Wars. I'm on the one that's got no name, and everybody's on it. Not everybody's gonna want to play in that. So, you need to eat some more. It was really good. Kind of like the best grits bowl I've ever had. And it didn't need actual butter. It's got olive oil in it. Whew. Like, when I say gone, bro. Grits. You love grits, dude. With butter and brown sugar. This was a whole alternative to grits for those who have hominy or gluten allergies. If you have a gluten allergy or you're celiac, no, there's no milk or butter. Okay, so yeah, celiac would be alright. It's almond, flaxseed, and almond oil and a little bit of filtered water. Unless you're allergic to water, which you won't need it, then you can use coconut water if you like. But I didn't use any coconut water, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I didn't. No, because I wouldn't have used that other. It's not fully coconut, and I could tell. And I'm not interested now in the brand choice. It's one of your favorites when you get it from the Indian market, but you got it from somewhere else, and it was very out of date, expired sort of. And I didn't know if they expired like that, so I was just didn't like that one. And that's okay. I'll get a different one. A different time at the Indian market, and you'll be happy with all my markets. You go at one time and go pick up, sugar cane if they got it. That would be great. Rambutan. I was surprised Rambutan had. It was Rambutan at Walmart. I was like, what? Wow. I'm grateful to share it too. I was like, yeah, Rambutan at Walmart. What? Mm. leaf would look like. Specifically, what it would look like to stand next to a very beautiful beetle with what looks like these legs, and there's like three, and small. So where we look down on a creature that is cloven-footed, or like a horse, it's got one hoof. This creature has the same structural style, but it's three, and underneath it's like feathers, but they're like antennae arm-ish styles, and they glide like sea worms, but they're not worms. They're this paw, and they don't stick, but they glide. And this is a beetle that's slow, like a sloth, really slow, and almost like it has these vacuum-style pedis, antennae, and so it glides over things, not to run over them, but as if to feel like Braille. Not because it's blind, it's not. It's got the eyes of a fly. And the shell that is encapsulating its wings has these hairs on them, and they lay flat, and they have this iridescence like feathers on them. And where we might think something is got bugs on it, like you look at a bark of a tree and it's got things like ants walking over it, this sort of feather style hair had creatures living on it, just as if we were to look at the tree stump. But this is a beetle, and it's large. And so this is very, very zoomed in, like you're standing next to a very large creature with the eyes of a fly, and it's got its nesters, so it's got its hands, and it's just gliding over things that seem to be, quote unquote, to us, it might feel like they're imposing, because we're very impatient Hughes. But this is Braille. This is what is this immediate area? But I mean, not really outside of its lane, just inside of what it needs to move, and it's just kind of gathering information. It's moving, but it's a beetle. So to us, beetles look fast, and when you get very large, very zoomed in, it's very slow, actually. And we think linearly, like a time frame, or frame if you're playing one. But this was very gorgeous, like hover, like bzzz. It was very beautiful, not like shaking the ground at all, just more like a glide. And it was like Braille. But it's like butter. It was like, oh my lanta. It was very, very, very cool to watch, in my mind's eye, around my mind's eye, at the very beginning of such a process of recalibrating my foresight to really zoom in such fantastic earthling. The beetle is weevil, sort of. It looks kind of like it would be a weevil, but it's not. But they look similar. But this one is not a weevil. Weevils kind of had a whispers, like they're like a dog has whiskers, a cat has whiskers. These are like, I'm calling them whispers, but they're like whiskers, but they're branch-like. So they have like these kind of tree branches, but they're like soft like feathers, but they branch out from either side, kind of like the underwater salamanders, the ones that have the really sparkly graft, like peacocks do. Just the males are just very showy, very colorful, but they're very beautiful, very popish, very not pompous, no, pop-ish, like very colorful, very, very colorful, and very iridescent, very transparent, beautiful creatures just flowing in the wind with their butterfly wings, just breeze. But the weevil, WHEVAL or VEL, I don't know how other of those have a category. So some have known to have been coming out of food in cupboards, those are very style-wise part of the same species category to some respect, but they also have their own categories, and they are not based off of just beetles or flies. They've kind of been bred this way, like dogs or cats might have been also horses, cows, things like that, genetically. Um, but specifically, you are also going to hear what's underneath your breath, by the way, because of your recording.